The Talmud of Jmanul. The Clear Translation in English 3rd edition. Translation of the Aramaic scrolls written by Judas Iscariot, the disciple of Jmanul Jesus, discovered in 1963 by Edward Albert Meyer in the tomb where Jmanul had lain for 3 days. Translated into German by Isa Rashid and Billy. Edward Albert Meyer edited and encoded German text only. By Billy. Edward Albert Meyer translated into English by Julie H. Ziegler and B.L. Green. Updated English translation and revision 2001 by Dietmar Roth, James Deerdorf, Christian Frenner, Brian Christie, Heidi Vore and Robert E. Peters. Wildflower Press, Columbus, NCUSA. 2001. Dedication. Dedicated to the man known to many as Jesus, known herein as Jmanul, in the hope that the truths that he shared may be heard clearly today. H.Z. and B.L.G. Acknowledgements for the materialization of this small book. I wish to express my sincere gratitude to the spiritual forms Apetel and Artat Atharsade. In addition, my gratitude is also extended to my lifelong teachers and friends Fath, Asket, Semyes, Gatesel and Patha, etc., who took an interest in me in a loving way and taught me great knowledge, in order to prepare me for my important and difficult task. May my gratitude reach them across immeasurable distances, thus enabling me to maintain a lasting memory. This book is being dedicated without distinction to all human beings in the whole universe. May it be a form of spiritual values to all of them and expedite the progress of evolution, the truly lawful love emanating from creation, harmony and truth, and to the attainment of true knowledge, wisdom and peace. I also express my thanks to the discoverer of the tomb where Jmanul had lain, and to the translator of the text that I found, as well as to my dear wife Calliope and my children Gilgamsha, Atlantis, Socrates and Methuselah, through whose companionship and love I was able to fulfill my difficult task and continue to fulfill in the future. Billy. Edward Albert Meyer. We are in deepest gratitude to James Deerdorf for his detailed investigation of the genuineness of the 1978 and 2001 German versions of the Talmud of Jmanul, which has enabled the clear and consistent translation that you see before you. Additionally, we thank Edward Meyer for his early encouragement of our efforts and his faith in our abilities. We thank our most able attorney, whose careful preparation and analysis of the legal issues have given us the courage to publish this controversial document. Finally, we wish to express our gratitude to all those persons who, through their faith in us and patience with us, have made this work possible. The upper portrait is of Jmanul, known to most people as Jesus Christ. It was prepared by a woman designer from the Rhine Valley, Switzerland in December 1976, after an original pen drawing by Semyes, the pilot of a beam ship, whose home planet, Era in the Pleiades, is about 500 light-years from our solar system. The spelling of Jmanul with a J is no mistake, for according to the Pleiadians, this name is traced back to their forefathers, who spelled the name Jmanul in written language with a J. The portrait of Jmanul on page X was drawn by Semyes on December 31, 1975, from old pictures dating back to the time when Jmanul was active in Palestine. These old pictures of Jmanul, in the Pleiadians' possession, show characteristics that differ significantly from commonly accepted images of Jesus. Comparisons of these portraits to the Shroud of Turin, preserved at the Vatican, reveal clearly that the pictures reproduced here are not identical to the features in the picture on the shroud, which allegedly shows the image of Jmanul during the time after the crucifixion. Forward. In 1963, the text presented in this book was discovered by Billy Edward Albert Meyer in the form of scrolls encased in preservative resin, after a Greek Catholic priest by the name of Isa Rashid discovered the actual burial cave of Jmanul, who has been erroneously called Jesus Christ. Written in the literary language of Old Aramaic, the document was buried under flat rock in the tomb. It was Rashid's wish that his name not be publicized. He feared, and rightfully so, that he would be persecuted by the church and the Israelis and perhaps even be assassinated, a possibility that unfortunately became true later. The author of the scrolls was a contemporary and disciple of Jmanul who was known by the name of Judas Iscariot. For about 2,000 years he has been wrongly denounced as the traitor of Jmanul, although he had nothing to do with the betrayal. This ugly deed was actually carried out by Judas Iscariot, the son of a Pharisee. In order to save their threatened heresy, today's still dominant Orthodox and conservative clergy and their naive followers will probably attempt to deny the scrolls, destroy this book and denounce it as lies, as they have done with many other ancient writings that bore witness to the truth. See, for example, the books Enoch and Ezra, among others, which were removed from the Bible because they had been too close to the truth when handed down. As before, it will happen again that this writing will be attacked and probably taken out of circulation. It will probably happen that pressure from many sides will be exercised on the editor of the writing, or he may be persecuted or assassinated in order to preserve the true religion. 3 attempts on his life were made in 1976, once even in the presence of witnesses. By the end of 1990 the number of murder attempts had increased to 13. Certainly efforts will be made to induce police, authorities, public prosecutors, judges and courts of all kinds to prohibit this book, to ridicule it, to repudiate it or to suppress it, actions which, however, will not detract one iota from its veracity. The obscurantists in charge certainly will proceed with all circumspection, skill and intrigues to have the document dismissed, denounced as a hoax and quashed, as has been the case upon publication of other writings whose original scripts, however, were then hidden in the Vatican Library in Rome. But there will also ensue an outcry against the text from the religious fanatics and other misled persons who will want to proceed with all means against its existence and the editor. It has always been like that. As everyone knows, there is no shying away from murder, assassination or anything similar. The editor is well acquainted with this fact and consequently has taken necessary precautions. But the Holy Ministry and the Holy See in Rome, and the Pope have always taken steps to build up or to save the erroneous cult religion of Christianity. In this connection the readers need only to think of the Inquisition ordered by the Holy See, through whose command millions of people in Europe alone were brutally slaughtered, tortured and murdered. The number of murders on record committed by the Holy See amounted to 9 million during the Inquisition, while the number of undocumented murders adds at least another 9 million.
Former Greek Orthodox priest were led telepathically to an area outside of Jerusalem by the Pleiaren, and they found and dug their way into an abandoned ancient tomb. The stones on the floor, concealed for a while, for 2,000 years apparently, resin-encrusted, animal skin-wrapped scrolls, which they took out and removed from that location. When they opened up one, they found they were in Aramaic. So Isa Rashid took the scrolls, began a translation process. In something like 7 years, he sent Meyer about 1/3 of these scrolls, translated from the Aramaic, which they originally were, into German. He let Meyer know that he was now virtually on the run with his family for their lives. He told Meyer that there were certain religious factions of a couple major religions that found out that he had these scrolls and that wanted to take possession of them themselves. The information would prove to be enormously heretical. After Isa Rashid had translated a chunk of them, he took them and his family into a refugee village in Lebanon, hid the scrolls in the walls. It's said that within about a week's time, the Israelis came in and destroyed the entire village. The scrolls were destroyed, along with many of the structures and people who lost their lives. Isa Rashid and his family escaped with their lives into Iraq. And 4 years later, Meyer found out that Issa Rashid and his entire family had been machine gunned to death, ostensibly by the Mossad in Baghdad. For instance, Emmanuel foretold the coming of another prophet. He named him as Muhammad. He claimed that while this man would be a true prophet, his teachings would also be corrupted, and a false and evil cult would be created from them that would give the Israeli people, the distant descendants, no peace until the end of time, unless, hopefully, both the Israelis and their enemies could make a conciliatory and honest peace with each other. The Talmud of Emmanuel contains prophecies about the fires that would darken the sky when greedy and power-hungry people would ignite the very oil of the earth. The Talmud of Emmanuel was discovered in 1963. The fires from the Gulf War that darkened the skies did not occur until 1991, 18 years after the Talmud was discovered. There are two artifacts that are shown in this book that Meyer discovered in the tomb where the Talmud of Emmanuel was discovered. The first one was a small figurine that Meyer says was left by the Indian healers with Emmanuel, the men who came and ministered to him over those 3 days while he was sequestered in the tomb. The other artifact is a piece of gypsum that Gabriel allegedly gave to Emmanuel.
Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel. But if Jesus traveled or returned to the east, surely there would be legends, like those in the south of France, to support the idea. And of course, there are such traditions. In fact, the people here in Kashmir call their tribe Ben-e Israel and claim to be descendants of the lost tribes. And here there are stories that in the 1st century, Isa, known locally as Yusasaf, meaning leader of the healed, returned to Kashmir in his 30s. Yusasaf's ministry here can easily be seen as a continuation of the Jesus ministry. In a local temple called the Temple of Solomon, there used to be an inscription which told of Yusasaf's claim, made about 50 AD, to be Jesus, the prophet from Israel.
तमाम कश्मीर की तारीखों में यही लिखा है कि ये बाहर से आया है, ये प्रॉफिट था, ये पैगंबर था, और इसराइल से आया, मुस्लिम से अंदर बॉर्डर में आया है, और फिर यही तबलीग कर रहा है। वही चीज जैसे वही नसीबी है, क्योंकि यूसुफ के मायने हैं जो कोड़ी के मर्ज में हों उनको शिफा देने वाला, उनका इलाज करने वाला, जो शिफायाब हुए उसको यूसुफ के दूसरे मायने हैं कि यूसुफ के दूसरे मायने हैं जमा करने वाला।
Yusasaf continued to teach and to preach in Kashmir until he died around the year 80 AD. He was buried in Srinagar. And this rather modest building is, they say, his tomb. The first shrine erected around the site was built in 112 AD. In fact, it is now a shared gravesite. In the 15th century, the Islamic holy man Syed Nazir ud-Din was also buried here. Although both the gravestones under the cloth point north-south in the Islamic tradition, the body of Yusasaf is buried beneath in a grave dug east-west in the Jewish tradition. But this is a sacred site, and short of exhumation, there is no way of discovering whether the body buried here is that of a man who once survived crucifixion. However, next to the sarcophagus are the carved footprints of Yusasaf, and they do have marks or scars on them.
अच्छी उम्र में ये फोर्थ हो गया है, इसके पाँव के निशानात पत्थर पर उन्होंने कुंडा कर रखे हैं, जैसे कि थे वैसे ही रखे हैं निशान के तौर पर। उनमें जख्मों के निशानात बिल्कुल साफ नजर आते हैं, जो सलीब पर चढ़ाने की वजह से उनके पाँव में जख्म आए थे।
The position of the scars, just behind the toes, do not match each other, but they would align if a single nail was driven through both feet with the left foot placed on top of the right. There are many who believe this to be the tomb of Jesus. If this is the tomb of Jesus, then he spent most of his life in the mountain kingdom of Kashmir. He did not die on the cross. There was no resurrection. He did not ascend into heaven, and he does not sit at the right hand of God. For many Christians, this would be the end of Christianity as we know it.